really checks on the person that is expected to be strong, going through something because of the pressure of what you feel your responsibilities are. I know that you're strong, but can I be strong for you? Struggling with depression. You're in the background struggling with grief. You're fighting back the tears. You're losing friends. You're losing loved ones. You want to own all of your problems. You don't have to pause your purpose to process your pain. There is purpose even in your weakness. Welcome to another episode of Full Transparency with Donnie Wiggins. I am Donnie Wiggins, a business coach, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and I love talking about entrepreneurship. But today, you know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about something that we rarely admit to out loud until we've reached a breaking point. I want to go ahead and talk about it right now, and that is the emotional heaviness of having to be in leadership, the emotional heaviness of having to be in charge, the emotional heaviness of simply being a leader. This is especially when you're building a business, when you are the head of your household, when you are leading a team, when you're being a parent, or even the emotional support for your friends, your family members. It gets really heavy, Zell, and sometimes it's really difficult to stay the course and keep a straight face, right? I remember last year when I was going through one of the most emotionally draining times of my life. I admittedly was depressed. We talked about that. If you don't know that story, go back to the very first episode of 2025, and it will tell you that whole journey that I went through, right? And I felt like nobody was qualified in my friend circle or my family circle to help me navigate that experience, right? Not that they weren't qualified to support me, but support looks different for everybody, right? Support could look like checking on me and making sure I'm still breathing today. Support could look like, did I eat today? But what I'm talking about is qualified to help me get through this. It's a really hard position to be in, to be a leader, to known as being a dominating force in your industry, to be a mentor to thousands of people all over the world. And you're in the background struggling with depression. You're in the background struggling with grief. You're in the background struggling with heaviness. I went through that cycle of all of that last year, from dealing with a medication that induced depression for me, from losing my dog last year, which is a really, really hard loss for me. I went through all of it: sadness, loneliness. I isolated myself, depression, heaviness, grief, all of the things. And that type of pressure impacts how you show up. That type of pressure makes you not want to show up at all. That type of pressure backs you into a corner of performative responses. And that's how I lived my life much of last year. And I talk to people about this on a regular basis, and they begin to share their stories. It amazes me how we are so afraid to admit that we're going through something. You're afraid to admit that you're going through something because of the pressure of what you feel your responsibilities are. You can't be the weak one. You can't be the one who cries. You can't be the one who needs a break. You can't be the one that says enough is enough, because you're the man of the house or the woman of the house. You're the father. You're the mother. You're the business owner. You're the boss. You're leading a team. You're the entrepreneur. You're the mentor. You're the strong friend. And today I want to free you. People always assume that you're good because you're put together well and you look good and you're being productive. There's something called functional depression. There's something called functional weakness, just like functional alcoholism. And that's people or functional addictions. That's people who are addicted to something, but it doesn't stop them from being productive. That's how I spent most of last year. And that's probably how you're spending a lot of your time too. And that's because nobody really checks on the person that is expected to be strong. Nobody checks on the mentality. Nobody says, how are you doing? No, sis, how are you really doing? When you tell me that you're doing okay, are you really doing okay? Or is that the thing that you say because that's the standardized response that we say? Are you on the verge of tears? Are you on the verge of a meltdown? Are you on the verge of a nervous breakdown? I said on an episode, I believe it was a podcast interview of Dear Future Wifey with Lateris Whitfield, where I said, I feel really, really, really bad about the weight that men carry on their shoulders. I see the responsibility of being a man so differently now because you guys are positioned, you're tasked with the responsibility of having it all figured out, right? Having it all figured out. And if I'm being honest, I came to this realization being a woman who is single that has to have it all figured out for the people that I provide for. If the car breaks down, I have to figure it out. If something is wrong in the home, a light that's out that's too high for us to reach, I have to figure it out. If something has to be paid and it has to be paid right now, I have to figure it out. If something slips through the cracks, I have to be the one to figure it out because at the end of the day, the responsibility falls on me. Men, I understand that for many of you, you feel like all of the responsibility falls on you and you can't go to that woman. You can't reveal this vulnerability. You can't reveal it because you feel like it makes you weak, but we got to link up, strong people. We have to get together. We have to figure out a way to be human and not be seen as weak. And for the people who have people who are the strong person in their lives, it will behoove you. It will serve you. It will make life so much better for you when you see the strong people in your life as human beings and not as superwoman or supermen. Though they may perform at a supernatural level in your life, they're human. Even Superman took his cape off and bled just like the rest of the humans. When he took that cape off, he was only as strong as a human male. So sometimes when you have that strong person in your life, you have to not only let them, but you have to also encourage them. Babe, it's okay to take the cape off. Leader, it's okay to take the cape off. I know the responsibility that you carry every single day. I know that life isn't perfect for you. I know that you might be going through a moment of grief, but I got you. I got your back. I can pick up some of this weight for you. I can relieve some of this stress for you. I can help you carry some of these burdens because whether you're the strong person or the person who's being served by the strong person, it is your responsibility to clock in and help to relieve some of these burdens too. What can you do to make life easier for the strong friend in your group, for the strong leader in your group, for the strong head of household in your group? What can you do to help relieve some of that? But strong person, you have to be willing to accept it. We have to have a mindset shift. People are breaking down all over the world. People are taking their lives prematurely all over the world. And we come to find out that they were carrying the weight of things, of pressure that they couldn't carry. And instead of admitting, hey, this is a moment where I'm vulnerable, they said, my life is no longer worth living because if I can't be that strong person, then I have no purpose here. And I want you to know, just like I learned, there is purpose even in your weakness. There is purpose in your vulnerability. There is a testimony in every test that you might experience. And people do care. It's just that sometimes what I've learned is they don't know how to support the person that seems to have everything figured out. See, we still feel the pressure to lead with excellence, even when you're unraveling behind the scenes. And we need love, we need support, we need to know that somebody sees us. For me, Zell, in that season, I didn't even need anybody to fix the problem. I didn't need you to have a suggestion on how I'm going to get through this. I needed to see that you recognize that I was off. You recognize that something is wrong. You offer support because you see, hey, Donnie, you're not yourself right now. That's what made me feel loved and appreciated and supported by my circle. But in order for that to happen, I had to take small steps in exposing vulnerability because I had to make sure that once I put my foot on the street of vulnerability, that it was safe there. So what strong people tend to do is like give a little, okay, I need help, I need support, I need people to know that everything is not okay with me. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just stick my foot out there just a little though, just a little. I'm gonna put my foot out there just a little just to make sure it's really safe here. If I put my foot out here and share with you that something is not right, how are you gonna respond to that? Are you going to attack me? Are you going to accuse me of being weak? Are you going to say, dry your eyes, everything is going to be okay? Are you going to tell me that I'm built for this and I can get through everything? That is the response that will make me retreat. And I just go back to being the strong person that you know, because that's what you expect from me. It's not safe for me to expose a vulnerability to you. But on the flip side, if I say, hey, I'm sticking my foot out, something is wrong, and you say, hey, sit down, come talk to me. No, seriously, that can wait. These responsibilities can wait. You can take that armor off just for a moment. I know that you're strong, but can I be strong for you? Can we put our heads together and come up with some solutions? Or do you just need me to listen? Do you just need me to know that you're going through something? And I don't expect you to be perfect. I don't expect a perfect man, a perfect husband, a perfect spouse, a perfect friend, a perfect mom, a perfect wife. I don't expect perfection from you. I just want you to know that your quality of life matters to me too. Your happiness matters to me too. How can I support you through this? Then and only then will we be able to perform without wearing this mask. We can take off the superwoman cape. We can take off the Superman cape. We can take the mask off. Because what many leaders are doing right now, especially in the heaviness of what's happening in this world, and then you take on just your own personal life's issues. Things are happening. You're losing friends. You're losing loved ones. People are dying. People are sick. You might be sick. This might be your final hour, whatever that is, but you're still smiling through the Zoom. You're getting on these meetings and you're smiling in front of your team. You're smiling on the Zoom, but you're crying in silence after those calls. You're fighting back the tears. You're fighting back the emotional crash out, the emotional burnout, because you don't feel safe. You over deliver at work. You bury yourself into work. You isolate everybody and you just dig down deep into work to avoid dealing with your own personal emptiness. It's stress, it's sadness, it's sorrow, it's grief. And what happens is the strong person feels like they have to be strong. And so they say, hey, where do I show up best so that I can hide some of this weakness? Where do I show up best? And for many of us, that is in work. That is in our responsibility. And so you bury yourself in this responsibility. You isolate yourself from everybody else, not realizing that doing that is creating an avoidant behavior that is actually making you weaker, actually breaking down your strength, actually exhausting you, actually increasing strength, actually wearing you out. Sometimes burnout doesn't look like falling apart and crying and tears and emotional outbursts. Sometimes it looks like high functioning in silence. Sometimes it looks like isolating yourself while still obtaining accolades professionally. Sometimes it looks like getting the big project done, but retreating from all of your friends and your family and your loved ones. And those are the things that will actually make you weak. Instead, we have to find our circle of people who we actually go to, the circle of people who actually makes our heavy loads lighter, the circle of people who are eager to support you. And here's something for me, Zell, that has been historically hard to do. When people say, I want to support you, I want to help you with this, believe them. Sometimes as a leader, when people say to you, hey, I want to support you, we're so used to being let down that you don't trust people to do what they say they're going to do. So you want to own all of your problems and you want to own the potential solutions and all the things, but there's somebody who's crying out and responding to you crying out, and they're qualified to help you. They're qualified to support you. They are qualified to lighten the load. But because you are so accustomed to disappointment, because you are so accustomed to owning all of it, you don't believe them. So you don't let them. And this is where we have to have some vulnerability as a leader. This is because strong people actually fear judgment of others. Strong people feel like exposing a vulnerability will cause them to lose their authority. Strong people feel like exposing a vulnerability makes them weak. It's oversharing. It's too transparent. It creates emotional disarray. But in my experience, from what I've learned recently, when I shared with people what was going on with me, and they were able to see the quality of life that they perceived I still had, and the fact that I was still able to run a very successful business at a high level, the fact that I was still able to show up and do what I had to do, I was seen as a much stronger person than I was when I was so unrelatable, because it looked like I could handle everything. I had to have a vulnerable moment. I had to allow myself to be weak for just a moment in order to rebuild my strength. Don't miss that. I had to allow myself to be weak for just a moment in order to rebuild my strength. It's not oversharing. It's not an emotional outburst. It's humanity. Being transparent actually creates emotional safety for you, for the people that you love, for the people that you manage, for the people who are following you. Congratulations, entrepreneur. You made the decision that this will be your biggest and best year ever in business, and I am so excited for you. It's just that you're missing something. The accountability and the mentorship that you said you need, the accountability and the mentorship that you said you were going to get this year, I know you're missing it because I'm not mentoring you inside of my community, Actionable CEO. I see everybody else. I'm looking through the names as I speak right now, and I'm seeing all the names, but I don't see yours. See, Actionable CEOs have something in common. They have three things in common, in fact. They are disciplined. They are action takers. They invest in themselves. But my favorite one is that they are action takers. Oh, wait, no, my favorite one could be that they're disciplined. It could also very much be that they invest in themselves. See, you can't do one without the other if you want major results. So I'm inviting you to check out my community, my mentorship community for entrepreneurs who are interested in personal development, professional development, and financial development. And you want to have a whole lot of fun connecting with other people in the community to network with. If I'm your girl, if I'm your person, if I'm your vibe, check out actionableceo.com right now to see if my mentorship community is the right one for you. In fact, I know it is. So just go there and hit register, join now, whatever. I'll see you on the inside. Bye. We're constantly in a position where we're responsible. We're paying for things. We're paying for everything. Everybody else's lifestyle depends on what we're able to do for them. We're always giving advice. We're always giving support. We're always pushing encouragement. We're helping other people be confident and strong. We're helping them believe in themselves and dream at a high level. But who's doing it for you? You cannot pour from an empty cup. You've heard this over and over and over again. And you know what? Though you have strategies and you have tactics and you have this armor that helps you pour back into your own cup, you don't have to. Somebody loves you enough to help you. Somebody loves you enough to care about your quality of life. Somebody loves you enough to walk through and weather this storm with you. And we also have to remember that the things that we're going through, the emotional toll of the things that we're going through, they're temporary. They don't last always. Time makes everything better. Time makes things easier. Time heals broken hearts. Time makes grief just a little bit lighter. Time makes pain just a little easier to deal with. Time. So sometimes we feel like we're stuck in a moment for a long time, but it literally is just a moment. You know, you can be strong and still need softness, and this is man or woman. You can be strong and still need to lay in somebody's lap. You can be strong and still need a hug. You can be strong and still need a break. You can be strong and still need to say, hey, I need a 3-day vacation from everybody. Leadership without support isn't leadership. It's performative obligation, performative duty, meaning you're doing what you have to do regardless of how it impacts you. I want you to think about your life experience. Do you want to continue navigating through this life feeling like you carry it all for everybody, yet nobody is here to support you. Nobody carries any of your weight. Sometimes we just ignore those things. Sometimes we avoid them. Sometimes we don't believe in them, but try out a solution and stop burying yourself in what I call delay healing. Delay healing is things like, especially for an entrepreneur, oh, I'll rest when I hit six figures. I'll rest when I start this business. I'll rest when I hit that seven figures. I'll rest when I hire an assistant. I'll start therapy when I have a team. I'll start therapy when systems are in place. That moment never comes until you prioritize it. That's the truth. That's the reality. Until you say, no, I got to rest right now. That moment's not coming. Until you say, you know what, let me schedule the appointment with the therapist right now. That moment is never coming. Until you say things like, let me learn how to practice breath work to control and regulate my emotions and what I'm feeling. Let me take an hour to go and do that right now. That moment isn't coming. Healing is a lifestyle. It's not a break that you get from business. Healing is a lifestyle. It's not a break that you get from business. And the act of healing is your power source. It's the battery in your back. It's the adapter that's being plugged into the wall. When you are in a constant state of healing, and this is why I often say, I don't really believe in being healed completely from something, right? You may be grieving something really, really, really hard right now. A year from now, it feels a little lighter. 2 years from now, you're triggered and you start to grieve all over again. But when you're constantly in a season of understanding that you're healing, meaning you're being intentional about activating the things that make you feel better, activating the things that make you feel aligned, activating the things that make you feel good, then you can handle the grief, the pain, the emotion, the lack, whatever it is better. When you understand that healing isn't a break, rather it is a practice, you show up better, you think clearer, you have better relationships, you make better decisions as a whole. A couple of healing practices that I implement in my life. Number one, journaling is so therapeutic for me. But journaling with honesty, not just gratitude, but honesty. Being real with yourself about what's going on. Actually saying the things that are affecting you out loud. Writing those things down, but also writing down what your solution is. Writing down the fact that you get to grow from it, right? I try to express gratitude for every single situation, even when it's really, really hard. Another healing practice that I focus on is creating a space to feel. When I have friends who are going through things and they come to me for support, I always encourage them to actually feel the feeling. Feel the emotion. Recognize where it hurts. Is it in your chest? I'm up here. Is it in your chest? Are you feeling the pressure, the pain in your shoulder? Do you feel it in the pit of your stomach? Because we know sometimes we got that pit of the stomach pain. You had a pit of the stomach pain before. That's usually like heartbreak when your heart is broken. I done had some pits in my stomach pain before. Recognize where that pain is coming from and deal with it. Process it. Don't ignore what the pain feels like. Another one of my healing practices is meditation. Oh my God. I love meditation, right? And this can be a guided meditation where someone is talking to you and taking you through things to think about, right? They may tell you to imagine a color light traveling through your body and it's illuminating your body in certain spaces and making you feel alive, and they're guiding you through that. It could be simple breath work, meditation exercises. Both are two of my favorite things to do to activate healing over my life. Breath work. If you have not studied how breath work can heal your body, I encourage you to study it right now. Right now. You got to get on top of breathing exercises. And it's not just about taking deep breaths. It's about timing. It's about the depth of which you inhale, the depth of which you exhale. It's about how long you hold the breath. It's about the thoughts that you're having while you're breathing, or if there are any thoughts present while you're breathing at all. It's about the intensity of the exhale. It's about all the things that release emotions, allows you to regulate, self-regulate, shift in an instant. An hour a week of intense, deep breath work will change your life. Just go to YouTube. Look up breathwork meditation, breathwork exercises. Start there. And if you find that you like it, make sure you comment and I can talk more about breathing. Therapy. Make time for it. Make time for therapy. Talk to someone. Talk to someone who is trained to actually give you the practical advice. They're not just the person who can listen, but they're the person who has resources. They're the person who's seen the scenario before. They're the person who can expedite the time frame that it takes you to heal. Talk to someone. And having a support person who's not tied to your business. Because people who are tied to your business have a bias. They need you to show up professionally. So they're going to tell you things sometimes, even though they love you, but it's also in the greater outcome for your business. And you need to talk to somebody who's solely interested in your greatest outcome for you, the human, the person, the man, the woman, the teenager, the young adult, the child, whatever it is. And here's what I need you to know. You don't have to pause your purpose to process your pain. You just have to be willing to create room for both. You don't have to pause your purpose to process your pain. You just have to be willing to create room for both. All right? So let's get it. Leaders, we are the strong ones. That just is what we were purposed to do. We are the ones with the solutions. We are typically the ones with the resources. We are typically the ones who save the day. But we have to figure out how to do the hard things in order for us to allow somebody to save our day, for us to learn how to save our own day, for us to learn how to be better. And oftentimes it starts with saying the hard things. Things like, I'm not okay. Things like, I need help. Things like, I need to take a break. You cannot build a sustainable business or a sustainable life or a happy life or a joyful life or a life full of clarity on an emotionally bankrupt foundation. You just can't. And let's shift our thoughts. It's not about being the strong friend or the strong leader. Let's transition that narrative. It's not about being or just being the strong leader. It's about being a whole one. It's not just about being a strong man. It's about being a whole man. It's not just about being a strong woman. It's about being a whole woman. Give yourself permission to be supported, not just strong. I'll see you on next week's episode of Full Transparency. As usual, please, in the comments for me, comment what stood out for you the most. I know you're going to go out there and be strong anyway. I encourage you, I implore you to activate some of the tips that I've shared with you today and go out and find that person who wants to support you. Find that resource, find that healing strategy, meditation, prayer, journaling, breath work, all the things, and start to be whole, not just strong. Bye.